One of these individuals doesn't seem to belong. Two are legends. One just wishes he was. Two look like badasses. But one looks like a dork who crashes comic book conventions for no reason. I wonder which one it is. When CM Punk was in the ring with Triple H and Vince McMahon, either of them looked like they could squish CM Punk anytime they wanted. And that made me think, could CM Punk be the least intimidating world champion in WWE history? You know, like I was thinking about this and I asked some of my friends at the gym. I was like, hypothetically, if CM Punk walked in that door and got in your face, would you be intimidated? They were like, hell no, not a chance. You know, Batista, yeah, that's intimidating. But CM Punk, hell no. You know, and one of them brought up a legitimate point. He was like, how am I supposed to believe in CM Punk as world champion when I think I could beat him in one round? You know, and that's a real issue. You know, like, how are you supposed to support someone as heavyweight champion when you think you could beat him in a match? You know, like, go to any gym, any fight club where there's lots of people, and you'll see people left and right that look like they could beat CM Punk in 30 seconds. I mean, can you imagine heavyweight champion CM Punk going up against middleweight Vitor Belfort? You know, like, how fast would that match be over? You know, CM Punk would be like bouncing in the air like Mortal Kombat, you know, like 24-hit combo. But back to the original question, among the Raw and SmackDown belts, is CM Punk the least intimidating world champion in WWE history? I thought about this, and in my opinion, he's number 4. Here's the rest of my list. At number 9 and 10, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Back in 2010, one of my friends was having dinner at a restaurant, and as he was getting ready to leave, he saw Kofi Kingston there having dinner with the Bella Twins. And my friend was talking to me about how, to him, they looked absolutely nothing like stars. You know, they look like your average, everyday Joes. You know, like 99% of the other people at the restaurant were just walking by them like they were nothing. You know, my friend would have completely missed them too. The only reason he noticed is because a waiter happened to point it out. You know, like, he said, like, he didn't even want their autograph. You know, they didn't come across as stars whatsoever that you would feel the desire to get an autograph from. They look like your average, everyday Joes. Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels' intimidation factor does not come from their physical size. Instead, it comes from their star power, their charisma, their ability to be larger than life. They have that it factor. Like in the 90s, when I saw Shawn Michaels walk in the room, you know, people were like turning their heads. You know, it was like a celebrity walked in the room. You know, in addition to their ability to be larger than life, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair's characters were portrayed as extremely intelligent and devious. You know, Ric Flair's not going to beat anyone based on pure strength, but he's the dirtiest player in the game. You know, he is going to scheme his way to the world title. You know, cleverness, charisma, intelligence, star power, that's where these guys get their intimidation factor from. At number 8, the All-American American. Now here's a guy who's sort of the opposite of Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, because Jack Swagger is actually not that small of a guy. He's actually a pretty big guy. What undoes Jack Swagger, however, is the total and utter lack of any of Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels' charm. You know, he looks like a goofy frat boy on the college wrestling team. You know, like when he was holding up the world title, like, he didn't look menacing or intimidating or heelish or anything like that. He looked like some goofy douchebag trying to look good in front of his girlfriend. At number 7, Edge. Like I said, there were 2 points where I really liked Edge. One was Edge and Christian, And 2 was when he first became the rated R superstar with Lita, and it really looked like he was about to take off. Until the WWE ruined it as usual. But the thing is, the Edge that walked out at WrestleMania 27, that Edge was far removed from the original rated R superstar that I knew and loved. And without that charm, all you're left with is a scrawny guy with no pecs that needs to leave his shirt on. And on top of that, the PG era has turned Edge into just another douchebag, like kidnapping Paul Bearer, come and get him, Why do they all have to turn into douchebags? What happened to quality characters like Jake the Snake, Ravishing Rick Rude, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, What happened to original and charming characters? It almost feels like today's writers are incapable of creating quality characters. They're just going to turn everybody into a bunch of douchebags. At number 6, Chris Jericho. I don't think there's much discussion on this one. I'm a fan of Chris Jericho, but even when he was at his best in WCW, with the ponytail on top of his head, feuding with Dean Malenko, Monday Night Jericho, he wasn't exactly what I would describe as intimidating, He was more like this quirky, highly entertaining guy, someone I would consider to be a strong Intercontinental title contender. But the world title scene, however, always seemed a bit over his head. It just wasn't his scene. He beats The Rock and Stone Cold on the same night to become undisputed champion. Then spends the whole road to WrestleMania 18 talking about how he's not a transition champion, but that's exactly what he was. Chris Jericho never really seemed to fit in to the world title scene, and he never really made for that intimidating of a world champion. At number 5, Jeff Hardy. If you told me back in the day that one of the Hardy Boys was going to be WWE champion, I would have called you crazy. Two skinny-ass guys with pantyhose on their arms, neon lights, and their fat-ass fangirls going crazy, and you're going to tell me one of them's world champion? Jeff Hardy has more of the look. I'll give him that. But to consider him as a world champion is a bit of a stretch when the guy looks like he's more than Exit Pspower. Enter yours truly. Sup guys? Guess who this is? If you just said future of TNA, then you would be correct. And as the handsome future of TNA, I just want to say, man, Pspower, I just watched your last video on lazy wrestling routines, and man, you like a TNA storyline, man. You don't know where you going. You complain about wrestlers backing up the ramp? Well, where the hell else do you want them to back up? Through the crowd, man? That's a stupid complaint. You an idiot, man. And then you actually talk about even Stevens? But let me get this straight. First you complain about Super Cena, then you complain about things being even? Can you say contradiction? Got you again. Owned you again. That's all the ownage I got for you now. Future of TNA, signing off. We now return to your regularly scheduled stupidity, already in progress. Regularly scheduled stupidity. That was a good one. Precisely the case with Jeff Hardy, who looks like he would be more fitting fighting Alex Wright for the Cruiserweight title on Monday Nitro. A Hardy boy holding a world title is not intimidating. At number 3, Christian Cage. Look, I don't like to say anything negative about Christian Cage. We all like Christian Cage. But honestly, is he an intimidating world champion? Character-wise, he's always been more of the side guy. The Crash Holly, the Scrappy Doo, the Robin. It was always Edge then Christian, not Christian, then Edge, you know? And when he was in the Brood, he was like the third guy, you know? It went Gangrel, then Edge, then Christian, you know? Making Christian world champion is like making Bumblebee the leader of the Autobots. You know, I mean, I like them, but can I imagine them in those leadership positions? You know, not really. At number 2, The Miz. Let's go back to the gym example. Hypothetically, if you were at the gym with a bunch of your friends and you were all in pretty good physical condition, and The Miz walked in and started acting all tough, would you be intimidated? Hell no, right? Like, you'd probably more likely start laughing, right? Like, I don't even think the girls would be intimidated. You know, this guy is a douche. Unlike Jericho, he doesn't even qualify for the Intercontinental title scene, much less the World title scene. I mean, can you imagine The Miz standing next to Stone Cold, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart when they were Intercontinental champions? Dude, The Miz looks like the guy they beat up on free TV before the pay-per-view. You know? The fact that this guy was not only a world champion, but also headlined the WrestleMania just tells you all you need to know about this PG era. And coming in at number 1, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio as a heavyweight champion. Enough said. Alright? I won't say anything more other than the fact that this little squirt that Kevin Nash threw like a dart into the side of a trailer is now a multi-time heavyweight champion. That's all you need to know about this entertainment era. So here's my list of 10 least intimidating world champions in the WWE. Of these 10, 8 held world titles during this PG era. And you wonder why the belts have no credibility anymore. Let's finish this video where we started it, talking about CM Punk. We always talk about how a wrestler needs to have that look. He needs to have that coolness. Let's take a look at CM Punk's current look. Look at this guy. Just look at him. If the WWE were a high school, would this guy really be the popular kid? You know, getting all the girls, big man on campus? No! Guys like Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they'd be the cool kids. They'd be the ones getting all the girls. Guys like John Cena and Randy Orton, they'd be on the football team. They'd be the ones getting all the cheerleaders. CM Punk, he'd be like the dork, you know? Can you imagine CM Punk with the head cheerleader? No! You know, he's more the guy who spends prom night standing in Dave & Buster's holding a couple tickets. You know, he's that guy. You know, he's the guy where you see in the lobby of the movie theater leaning over the arcade machine, and when you're done with your movie, he's still standing there. You know, he's that guy. You know, he's the guy who watches The Matrix wearing his Neo trench coat. You know, he's that guy. You know, him standing up to Kevin Nash looks ridiculous. It looks like George McFly with a makeover trying to intimidate Biff. You know, if WWE were a high school, Shawn Michaels would be the one dating the head cheerleader. CM Punk looks more like the one that would create a cheerleader in Warcraft and start dating it. You know, that's the difference.